You want history of the town. The zebras got their name, and I have an old yearbook at home, and I cannot think right now for the life of me what their other name was. But it wasn't the zebras. In 1 year, they ordered football uniforms, and the jerseys had stripes all on them. And they would go play football at places, and the other team would tease them about they looked like a bunch of zebras. And the guys got to talking, and they said, hey, we like that name. And that was when the local students, and I think that was in the 20s maybe, or early 30s, and that's when they adopted the name zebras. And I'll find out that other name and get it to you so you can inject it in here with the comments you're going to make. I really don't know. As I said, Main Street was just one business after another. And everybody on Saturday night, everybody would go to downtown somewhere in the 6:30 range and stay till the stores would stay open till 9 o'clock. And everybody would visit, see all their friends and buddies. The women would sit in the hot cars, and the men would get out and walk around and congregate on the corners. And it's kind of like you see in the movies or on television now. That's just the way the town was done. And everything was downtown. There was grocery stores on Main Street. Let's see. This might be of interest to you. And where Ann's Cleaners is now, 2 doors west, was the Rexall Road. Across the street, catty corner, was Bell's Confectionery. Now, both of those had fountains in them. You could get a fountain drink in there. Then, if you went on down on the north side of the street, about where Heinz Drug is, that was Gentry Drug. Then on the corner where they sell the antiques now, that was Vincent Drug. Across the street, as I told you before, was Collins Drug. Then down in the Will Rogers Hotel was a Will Rogers Drug. All of those places had fountains. You could go in and get a fountain drink, ice cream. It was just a completely different atmosphere than you all are experiencing in today's times. There was clothing stores, ladies' clothing stores, big department stores. J.C. Penney's was right there on Main Street, in the middle of the block. And I keep referring to Ann's Cleaners because that's the place that's still there. And RCB Bank started on the corner there where the street building is now, and that's where it started. Behind that, over where the federal building is, was the Yale Theater, and that was the class theater. And they had a talent show every Wednesday night. And about 4 times a year, they'd put boxing matches on in there. And at one time, that was where they keep horses. In a stable. That was a stable. And I think it was one of the managers was a cousin of Will Rogers. But I can remember in later years, after I came back here and was working here, They tore that building down, and it's now where you drive into the RCB parking lot. And they tore that building down, and I noticed a little rock wall there in the back that they had, and so I got to checking around and found out that that was part of the original wall of the livery stable. So a good friend of mine, Clem McSpadden, who was a relative of Will Rogers, and his brother Trent lived up in the Bushy Head area. Well, I went back and got 2 of those rocks, wrapped them up for Christmas, and took them to them for presents. Well, when they opened them, they both discussed how nutty their friend John was to bring them a rock for Christmas. Then when I told them where it came from, they were quite proud of it. And I think still have those, their family still have those 2 rocks sitting on tables somewhere in their den.